wondering why this failed. Well, here's the door. And the door sits inside the car. And on the end of these is a slotted piece. Looks kind of like it's rounded on top. That's important. And here's the other side of it. So what basically happened was, this is a really soft plastic, and here's the actuator motor, very hard plastic. And as you can see, if we put it on the good side of this, which of course they made it where you can't reverse this door and use the other side, but if you notice, there's a round and a flat bottom on it. So if we get this in here, this is on the other side of the door. As such, you can see that the door is really stiff. It's waiting for the motor to turn it. You can't do anything to it. Now if we put it on the other side, the side that got broke, you can see it goes on, and of course what will happen is this door will slip, and it's not supposed to do that. So what we're doing is we're going to try to put a piece of metal down in here, and you can see the way Ford made it, or whoever designed it. There is some grooves right here on the side, right here and right here for the side of it. The top's rounded and the bottom's basically flat. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand these holes out and put a piece of metal in there. At the same time, what I also did was, since it's right in the center, let's use the side I actually worked on. I guess that's this side. So you can see the two grooves on the side. We're going to continue to work on those and make them a little bit bigger so we can stick our key in there. And what I had to do here was I had to get the hacksaw and put a groove. Don't go all the way down to the end. You want to give some stability to it when it goes back in. But you want to make sure you go on the side where it's flat and round, if you can see it. And we're going to go right down the middle, and you want to go right down the middle of this so the key fits in the center of it. So what I found was this is a light fixture for the ceiling. You can see I cut a piece off out of here to make a key to go into the motor and the door. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to get, this one's here is a little bit small, and it's going to maybe slip when it's inside the door. So I'm going to try and fashion another one out of the rest of this that will be a little bit wider. I'm going to use the hacksaw to try to form the key, and I'm going to go down to the hole that's in the middle of it and a little beyond, and we'll be back. Okay, we completed the cut down to the center, and then I hacksawed just another slot to even off the piece, and we're going to go on through with the hacksaw down to where they both join. Okay, so we have this part cut out. Now we're going to do some other, a little bit more work on it. Let's see how that works. Okay, so I took this piece outside on the flat surface and took the hammer and got rid of the hole and evened it out. So now we get a flat piece. try and fabricate it out of that. Alright, took the Sharpie. Here's my original key that I made that I don't believe is quite wide enough, so we're going to try to get this down to where it's just a little bit wider. We don't want to go any wider than the hole on the door where it fits into. Don't want to get too close to where the plastic's too thin on it. Okay, so we're going to take the aviation snips, which makes the job a lot easier than using the hacksaw, but for bigger jobs the hacksaw is great. So I'm going to snip it off here first at the black line. Okay, my first cut I kind of got a little too long, but so we're going to trim it down some more. Okay, now we're going to try and make it not quite as fat as what it is. You can see the black line on it, so, and the size of the other one, but we don't want to go that small. We want to go a little bit wider. Okay, so I got the vice grips out. We'll try that. And lined it up so it's flush. I don't know if you can see it. And there's the part that we need to trim off, so I want to go a little bit wider. Than the original piece. Okay, trimmed it off. It's a little bit wider. We're going to try to work with that piece so we get it on there. Let's see if show you how we can get it inside the door. Okay, here's a little more close-up of what we did to it. So right now we're going to file the rough edges off, see if we can get them down to the flat surface. Okay, and then make sure, because of all the cutting and hacksawing and stuff, that your pieces stay even. You don't want it to become uneven, so if you have to readjust the vice grips, just readjust the vice grips. Alright, we're going to remove it out of the vice grips now and go check it against the door. Okay, so here's the original key that I made, and I had expanded the hole slots on here some so that this key will slide down in there. And what'll happen is once you get that in there, then you can take the motor actuator and it will actually, let's see, it's about, I believe, where we want it. So what I did was, we're going to put this guy, when you get it in there, he's going to slide on this actuator and go into I might have put the key in backwards, so it's a little tight. But we want to go there, and then you're going to slide. Man, there's always something's in there, folks. So then we're going to slide the actuator motor on. Oops, there it goes. So this is where it sits in the car, and you want to have this just in the right spot. Maybe I got the thing a little long, not sure yet, but you can see that this key keeps it from spinning freely. However, I believe the problem could be still that this key just isn't big enough to grab enough plastic. So this is what I've been doing. I got myself a jeweler screwdriver, and we're going to go across inside these grooves on the side until our new key, this one that we made, can slide down in here. And hopefully it won't take too long. Be back in a few. But what you want to do is, this is very soft plastic, so you want to use your jeweler screwdriver just to go down in this groove all the way down to the end of it, over and over until we can slide this key inside these two holes. You can see we got it kind of started to start going in there. So the crucial thing, I think, too, is that you don't want to have the piece of metal or your key too close to the outside edge of this plastic. You want to make sure you reserve a lot of plastic. And the other thing that happened to this piece is, because it twisted around, it also cracked. It's got a hairline crack. That happened, it's on this side. I think you might be able to see it. And it has a hairline crack that runs right here. So when you're fastening or fashioning your key, you don't want this, you want the key to be small enough that it doesn't push on the plastic and expand this to where it puts pressure more on that crack. So keep working the screwdriver up and down, shaving off a little bit of this groove to keep it until you can get your key in there. Okay, so we've been working on it a little bit, and here's another tip for you. Your screwdriver, make sure that it is close to the same width as the metal that you're going to use to make your key out of for it. Yeah, because you don't want a bigger one, because then it'll be loose in there, and you don't want it to be loose. And remember, this is all I've been doing, and you want to try to keep it even on both sides. So you want to scrape some on this side, and you want to scrape some on this side down that channel till you get the channel big enough to get your key in there. And you don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to be lopsided either as far as how the key sits in there. Okay, did a little bit more on it. Looks like it might fit pretty good. So make sure every now and then, and at least before you finally put the key in at the end of it, that you bang out the hole, kind of clean it out, get your screwdriver, make sure that the key will sit all the way down at the bottom. Okay, and here's our key. Here's the slot. You can see our work on it. Kind of just widen these two things on the side, and we're going to push our key in. You want it to be snug, but you don't want it to push open the crack that is on it. You want it to be able to maintain its integrity inside of the shaft. So what this guy does is there's two holes up in underneath in the heater box that this guy flips back and forth. Okay, so now let's see how good we did as far as fitting it on the motor. I haven't checked this yet, so we're going to find out. So here we are. You see the flat sides down, round sides up. Here's the flat and round side of this. So we're going to go straight on. A little bit tougher than the other one, but it looks like it's going to work. Let's see. Might be a little, you don't want to twist it or anything, but you want to make sure you can get your guy all the way down in there, and our shaft is a little bit too wide down towards the end there. or the key is, maybe. But you can see that we accomplished that this guy doesn't spin freely on here. Okay, so when you're doing this motor in the shaft, there were some, sorry, should have videotaped that earlier, but there were some little lines right here on the side, so you want to try and get it to where it is directly in the center of the shaft. And I use the hacksaw, and you want to be real careful, go slow, but you don't want to go all the way down to the base past about where it is right here, because you want to leave some stability to the shaft. If you cut this all the way down, it's going to make these weaker on the end. However, this is pretty hard plastic. So the next thing I had to do was get a razor blade and trim off on the inside of these so that that would go on. And what you want to avoid is that this thing expands out, and you don't want to, when you're pushing it onto the key that you made, you don't want this to snap off one of these sides of this. So you want to make sure it's wide enough, but you don't want to get it too wide to where it'll be real sloppy on moving it around. So yeah, I just got the razor blade and just went in here and tried to take off some of this stuff so it fits right onto the end. Was the hardest part, but okay, so we're looking, probably asking, well, how did you get the key length? Alright, so this is the good side, or the other side of the door, and here's the shaft. So this is what I did. I'm going to put this in here, and it's going to ride down on the shaft, and you can see that on this side the shaft has, well, I don't know, this little bit of distance right here left. So when I cut into the shaft on the motor, I tried to go to that spot. Oops. Tried to go right on there where it went. So if we do that again, try to show you. So yeah, just somewhere right in there. So you don't want your key to stick out any farther than what this is. So there's that. Comes out about, and this door does have some play inside the car where it sits. So it's not crucial that it's all the way tight up on there. Matter of fact, probably wouldn't be too good for it. So how did I get the length? Here's my original key that I was going to try. You know what? I just used the jeweler's screwdriver. And remember, you only want a screwdriver that's only as wide as this other good side. Do not make it wider or your key will slip in there and be too loose. But here's how I got the length of the key. Just push it all the way in, pinch right there, and there's the length that you need, and there's the length of it. And I went just a little bit, it's right there. I think I made it just a little bit bigger, but we'll find out if it has any effect on it. Okay, just for a quick review, here we are, and we got our key in. We can get the motor on it. It's a little bit snug when you first go on, but you do want it to, you don't want it to be too sloppy and loose on it. So remember, you got a round side and the flat side on the bottom. And what's going to be crucial with this is that after you get it up into the housing, then we want to be able to push the motor on. And I believe this is going to work. We're going to give it a shot. Actually, what I did was made it a little too long. So if you see this key that I made, it's 1 inch long. But the door is actually only right up to the edge. So I need to cut this down to about 7/8 of an inch. So we're going to cut off on the back side right about, we're going to make it 7/8 of an inch. So we need to lop off that much. Just to double check. I'm going to put this guy in there. It goes right to the edge of the blade. So if we put this guy on there, so that's as long as we want to go, 7/8. So we're going to use the aviation snips. I'm going to trim off about 1/8 of an inch of it. And you guys want to wear some goggles, protect your eyes. Let's see how that done. So what we're aiming for is to get it into the where it fits directly. It looks like it might be still a little too long, but we need to get it to flush inside the door. Okay, so we get it pretty close to 7/8 of an inch. Remember, the width is about 3/8 of an inch. Okay, we're going to get our door, and we're going to slide in, back in on the grooves. We want a little snug, and there we go, that looks way better. Alright, then we're going to check our fit with the motor. And it goes in there pretty good. It actually feels better. And the motor went in farther. So we're ready to put the door back in the car. See if I can get this lined up. But there's the hole, and there is a slot where you want to get the back side of the door in there. Yeah, let's double check our vent. And right now the recirculate, so we're going to switch it to fresh air. See if the fan moves. Worked good. I did put a little bit of lube on the places where it pivots. And then let's try the fan real quick, make sure it's working. And check the air door again. And we're good. And now I just have to put the glove box back on.